Chapter 9, Khalib's Fight. The gong rings out. Immediately, Khalib launches himself several feet above the ground. He spins around, spinning towards Nantor. The Colossus reacts and leaps to meet him. The audience has just enough time to hear the two blades clash before the two champions land on the ground. This time, Nantor is the quicker to counterattack. He pounces on his opponent, accompanying the offensive with a howl of rage. His fighting mass spins around. Small bluish flashes electrify the surface of the weapon, bristling with metal spikes. With a movement of his pelvis, Khalib dodges the charge and delivers a powerful kick to Nantor's knee, sending him tumbling to the ground. The warrior tries to regain support on his leg, but it gives way. Axe in hand, Khalib approaches his kneeling enemy and raises the weapon above his head, ready to deliver the fatal blow. He shouts angrily, "You won't have given me much trouble, you miserable vermin. Tonight, you will die, for such is my will." Arms raised towards his victor, the giant is terrified. But suddenly, he has the reflex to grab Khalib's elbows. Surprised by this turn of events, the reigning champion is unable to counter the Titan's grip. Unable to lower his arms, he chooses to strafe his opponent with kicks. But Nantor manages to get to his feet completely, and whirls his rival above him, making a fool of him in the eyes of the audience, who whistle cheerfully. He shouts out his forthcoming vengeance, and now, it's time for the beating. Nantor's going to make you feel his sledgehammer. He slams Khalib face down on the ground, then drunk with vengeance, puts one foot on his back. He then hammers him with great blows of his sledgehammer, alternating strikes on limbs and trunk. Khalib screams out in pain to the cheers of the audience. With each blow, sizzling sounds are heard. Sparks fly in places and shreds of burnt flesh detach from the body of the victim. To assert his colossal power over this almost inert body, Nantor indulges in an elite gladiator's fantasy. He lies down beside his enemy, grabs him with one hand and inflicts a painful, violent back and forth movement from right to left, as he would with a rag doll. Khalib's face bears the scars of suffering. Each new impact, each cry, inflicts a stinging humiliation, cruelly wounding his body, his pride and his pride. To finish him off, Nantor stands up. Flashbulbs flash again, a siren sounds, and the loudspeakers broadcast the message of the first public vote. Indeed, the match is interactive. Financially, this system is much more attractive for producers. I vote to let Nantor express his rage. The votes are closed. But, unfortunately, the majority has just decided that Khalib can have a breather. Will that be enough? The seconds count down from 10 to 0. A siren sounds. Break over. Nantor resumes his work immediately, grabbing Khalib's arm with both hands and pulling with all his might. The joint cracks suddenly. Oil and synthetic blood gush from the wound. The Epoxia champion writhes in pain, while Nantor is cheered by the crowd. He holds up the dislocated arm like a trophy and shouts. Nantor announces confidently, "I'm going to slaughter him. I'm going to cut his heart out." Khalib, his face tense, groans and grimaces. His body is unrecognizable. The endorphins in his armor gradually ease his pain. He manages to crawl a few meters to recover his breath and lucidity. Thanks to nanotechnology, the gaping wound heals, giving way to a metal stump. Nantor turns his back on his opponent and harangues the crowd. He soon notices the warning gestures of some spectators, turns around and wipes a trickle of saliva from his chin with the back of his hand. He charged straight at Khalib, who was now on his feet, twirling his pector mane to ward off another attack from the giant. The braid hanging from the back of his skull has become a strand of light spinning around him at prodigious speed. The wall thus created offered perfect protection, giving him a few appreciable moments of respite. Suddenly, Nantor struck with all his might. The mace bounced off the luminous wall. After a few seconds, Khalib's killer expression returns. A conviction now shines in his eyes. The conviction to win. The killer makes a comeback. As the giant rearms his arm for another assault, Chap breaks the rampart and instantly hurls the sharp end of his mane at the colossus. The audience holds its breath. Nantor groans, hit in the throat. He steps back. He brings his hand to his wound and grasps the weapon that pierces his neck from side to side. He knows the end is inevitable. He falls to his knees, unable to speak. Blood sprays down his chest. A new message to the hysterical crowd. A new vote. Choose life or death for the gladiator. The audience has decided. Unfortunately for Nantor, my vote made no difference. The champion has many fans. The result of the vote is almost unanimous: death. Chap puts on a beaming face. He has just remotely activated the explosive function of his cutting edge. A red light flashes in the colossus' throat. The audience, hungry for blood, joins in the kill, screaming with each flicker. Audience, 3, 2, 1. A mighty blast shatters Nantor's body. Shreds of flesh and metal fall to the arena floor. To the applause of the crowd, Chap picks up the head of the vanquished. With a mass of brown hair at the end of his one raised arm, he stares out at the exultant audience. Vital fluids flow from the unrecognizable head, while the audience chants the name of the butcher emeritus. Most of the audience stood up to applaud. We didn't. We remained seated, impassive, disapproving. Certainly resentful. I don't know whether the intelligence services have warned Chap of my presence or not, but he stands in front of us and stares at me hungrily. We exchange hateful glances. I wish Nantor had killed him. We leave immediately.